Said, little bitch, you can fuck with me if you wanted to. These expensive.
My life as an ISIS sex slave. NADIA Murad grew up dreaming of owning a beauty salon. The youngest of 11 children in a Yazidi family in northwest Iraq, she took photographs of all the brides in her tiny village, studying their makeup and hair. Her favorite was of a brunette woman with curls piled high atop her head. But after Islamic State overtook her village in August 2014, that dream died. Murad was captured, enslaved, sold, raped and tortured alongside thousands of her people in an effort to decimate their religion. It didn't entirely succeed, however. Murad, 24, managed a miraculous escape and is now a Nobel Peace Prize nominee fighting for freedom and justice for her people. Her new book, The Last Girl, My Story of Captivity and My Fight Against the Islamic State, Tim Duggan Books, out now, tells the story of how she and her family were living peacefully in the farming community of Qacho, near the Syrian border, when IS first rose to power. Her clan came from a long line of sheep herders and wheat farmers, residing in a house made of mud brick rooms lined up like beads on a necklace and connected by doorways with no doors. In the summer her family, including Murad's mother, 8 brothers and 2 sisters, stretched out on mattresses on the roof of their house, whispering to one another until they fell asleep under the moon. But 3 years ago, on August 14th, after a 2-week siege, IS ordered the entire population of Qacho to a schoolyard, where they asked the local leader if the villagers would convert to Islam. Yazidism is one of the oldest faiths in Mesopotamia, dating back 6,000 years, and has elements in common with many religions of the Middle East, Zoroastrianism, Islam, Judaism. Human rights activist NADIA Murad was taken from her family by Islamic State to be a sex slave when she was 21. Picture, app.source app. Adherents don't believe in hell or Satan and pray to a fallen angel, whom they call Ta'usi Malek, who came down to earth and challenged God, only to be forgiven and returned to heaven. This belief has given the Yazidi people a reputation among radical Muslims as devil worshippers. As a result, followers, who have no formal holy book of their own, have often been the target of genocidal impulses. Before IS, outside powers, including the Ottomans and other radical Islamic sects, had tried to destroy them 73 times, Murad writes in her book. The local leader told the IS commander that they would never convert, believing his people would then be evacuated to a nearby town. Instead, the men of the village were loaded onto trucks, ordered to dig a shallow grave and executed in one afternoon. The women, still in the schoolyard, could hear the shots just a short distance away. The older women and children were separated from the younger women. Murad was ripped away from her mother, whom she would never see again. On the way out of town, Murad, who was 21, screamed in an effort to stop one of the soldiers from grabbing her breast each time he walked by her on the bus. "Why did you scream?" a militant asked Murad. "I was scared," she told him. "This guy touched me." "What do you think you're here for?" asked the commander. "You're an infidel, a Saba'iya, sex slave, and you belong to the Islamic State now, so get used to it." Then he spat in her face, took out a cigarette and extinguished it on her shoulder. He lit another one and put it out on her stomach. Then he slapped her twice across the face and warned, "Never make another sound again." In the dark, crowded room of the home where she and the other women were being held, Murad asked what awaited her. Another woman who had been there longer told her to look for the stains on the bathroom wall where others had tried to kill themselves rather than be sold as slaves. "You can see the blood high on the walls where the cleaners don't notice," the woman told her. The small reddish-brown stains high up on the tiles were all that was left of some Yazidi girls who had come before me, wrote Murad. She had never heard of IS before they came to her village and had no idea that the group had been planning her fate for a long time. Attacking Kacho and taking girls to use as sex slaves wasn't a spontaneous decision, she wrote. Is planned it all, how they would come into our homes, what made a girl more or less valuable, which militants deserved a Saba'iya as incentive and which should pay. She paraphrases an Islamic State pamphlet which stated that Saba'iya can be given as gifts and sold at the whim of the owner, for they are merely property. Murad wrote, an owner can have sex with a prepubescent slave, it says, if she is fit for intercourse. Apostrophe. Sitting in a house surrounded by men with guns, the young woman contemplated killing herself. Instead, she made a pact with her two older sisters, Daimel and Adki. We would and take the first opportunity to escape, she wrote. Human rights lawyer Mal Clooney, right, and her client NADIA Murad attend a Security Council meeting at United Nations headquarters. Picture, app.source app. When an enormous man with calves as thick as tree trunks selected Murad as his slave, she screamed and tried to pull away. His eyes were sunk deep into the flesh of his white face and he didn't look like a man, he looked like a monster. When she spied a skinnier man's calves from her place on the ground, she begged him to take her, hoping his slight size might save her. "She's mine," the skinny man told the larger man. And that was that. Murad was registered as a slave, complete with a photo ID that would be dispersed among the fighters if she were to run away, and taken to the home of her new owner, a high-ranking judge named Haji Salman. "You're my fourth Sabiya," he told her. "The other three are Muslim now." "I did that for them." Yazidis are infidels, that's why we are doing this. It's to help you. Haji Salma told her to shower, put on a dress that came only to her knee and a modest change from her normal wardrobe, and use hair removal cream all over her body. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror. I knew that if I didn't wear any makeup, I would be punished, so I looked through the pile left for me. Normally, my niece and I would have been thrilled at the new makeup, which was a brand I recognized and could very rarely afford. We would have stood in front of the bedroom mirror, painting our eyelids different colors, surrounding our eyes with thick lines of kohl, and covering our freckles with foundation. At Haji Salman's, I could barely stand to look at myself in the mirror. I put on some pink lipstick and eye makeup, just enough, I hoped, to avoid being beaten. When he raped her, he was loud enough for all the guards to hear. He shouted as if he wanted all of Mosul to know that he was finally raping his Sabiya, and no one interfered. His touch was exaggerated, forceful, meant to hurt me. I was like a child, crying out for my mother, Murad wrote. He hit me when he was displeased with the way I cleaned the house, when he was angry about something from work, if I cried or kept my eyes closed while he raped me, she wrote. He humiliated her, spreading honey on his toes and making her lick it off.